to the stream. Yes, we are getting started late today. Today is a day I've been getting, I've been busy. I've been running around like a bit of a brrrm. So yeah, today's day. Today is a day. Alright, I'm gonna try with the voice a little bit. We're gonna play around with it today. Because that's fun stuff. Okay, so, notes and other such things. Make sure we get this. Then we go on to my own Majiggy What's It, and we go to here, and we go. I've been distracted all of today. I am packing. This weekend I am going to be at Confluence. It's in Pittsburgh. If any of you are going to be in Pittsburgh, you should come say hi. Um, um, all right, we are good to go. Boop. Yes. Um, 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 what was gonna say? Um, I was gonna say yes. Okay. Um, we are gonna go and write something. What are we gonna write? Um, I'm going to write him a Jiggy What's It. So, welcome on in. Let me bring up LibreOffice. We are going to open up a blank Word document. What we're going to write in it? That is a good question. Let's go with a writer's document. Here we go. Ready? Come on. We're opening up a writer's document. Now, okay, we have a Word document. That's a good start for writing. Sort of. I did TTRPG, so I have to do something vaguely TTRPG related, right? I think that's the rule. Okay, hang on. We need to blip this down to there. And then you put your font to 16 so you can still actually read it even when it is like this. And you do Times New Roman because that is the best, that is the font you use for things. Yep, that's just standard. Okay, now. I could do Antiphon. That is a possibility. I think, though, what I've been doing, I did that on Tuesday. Let's do Warhammer 40k, which then counts as tabletop RPGs because technically it is a tabletop RPG. There is one. So, fun fact for those of you who don't know, I on this very stream run Rogue Trader. We've been trying to do once a month. It's not working so well. So next month we are definitely doing one next month. It's bound kind of going down to every other month. We're trying to do it more often because I am just bad at organizing, and then we have to wrangle players, and I have 2 players, and they're pretty much widely available. And then I have more players that I'm trying to wrangle, and none of them are ever available. It kind of sucks. So usually just have 2 players. But, so we're gonna do that, and I'm using a blank Word. No, blank Word document's a bad idea. All right. We'll open up the freaking Expectus Primus. Give me a minute. Recent documents. Effective line. No, effective line is a completely different set of Rogue Trader people. There are some overlaps with the let's see. Open. Yeah, we're gonna have to get in here. Filk notes. No, that's documents. No, it's desktop. And go to this one. Then the documents within this one, which that one, which then gives us yes. Okay, here we go. This is a hot mess of different things. Let's see. Expectus Primus is an E, so no, that should be on. We're gonna have to do something with that. Girl, all the nerd guys want is a Felk. Escape encounter X. No, the Expectus Primus is not the effective line. Here we go. Boom. So if I close this one, this should... Don't save. It's a blank document. Okay. Bob. Alright, so let's try this. Ready? Now we have to readjust that. They're going to start an ad break. Okay, so my plan is we're gonna do planet creation. We're going to start with a blank page, and we're going to create a planet. Because I haven't done that in a while. Let's do it. We're going to do planet creation. Or we could go through and modify planets. Okay, come on, come on. There we go. Yep. I think that's within the margin. Maybe. I think we might need to. Just a smidge. Let me just move it on here. There we go. It's not ideal, but it works. Okay. Alright, we're going to have an ad break, and then we're going to create planets. So I will see you on the flip side of that one. Don't forget, hydrate. I might take it to go get more water. Yeah, hydrate is um, it's doing the thing where it, mm. um, um, I was not high. Okay, let me, right, we're putting up an ad, break. Oh, hi, Faye. We have a Faye secretly lurking. Remember, let's see. Yes, so, adverts, okay. When it actually starts, I'm going to go and get more liquids. You should get liquids too. Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna put up Addie, because she's a cutie pie. It is watered down. Watered down electrolyte beverage. Okay. Boom. Alright. Alright, I'm back. We'll wait until the ad's 35 seconds. Okay. Bip. Hi. Um. 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 Electrolyte beverage. You know what? That's fine. Apparently you cannot cheer in your own channel. Alright, welcome back everyone. My name is still Lee. I have not changed names or pronouns since starting. I know I don't swap that often. We are here, and I don't actually... Oh, anyway. Cheers to that. Oh. Okay, so we have Expectus Primus. I mean, yeah, but the thing about bits is, do you get the 1 cent back that you paid? The idea behind bits is that you pay for bits and then you use them to give like pennies to the streamers. So the question is, do you give yourself the pennies back that you spent on the bits? I think that's the theory of it. Is like the thing about cheering is that you get a penny for every person who cheers. Every bit someone cheers, you get a penny, and it's so. But you can use your own channel points. In fact, I have infinite vibe points. Yeah, you get infinite number of channel points for your own channel. So because they figure you're the creator, you have all of the channel points. All right, next ad break, we're gonna have to go and get the ice pack, but I think we're okay for now. So that's all of the people. I need to find the notebook that has the rest of them in it and type that up at some point. I think the notebook's at my parents' house with the other notebooks. Okay, but first, like, look at this. Do you want to help me do creation? Because, Corstanis, I feel like we did manually at some point. I cannot prove it, though. The rest of these are just, yes, Crayon, we have different ones. Nomter, we have ones, Beezus, Bernadette. We have these ones, we have more extensive notes. I think I even have a map of Beezus that's somewhere. Balboa, we did here. There's feral giraffes on Balboa. Wild? I don't know if they're wild or feral because they're not domesticated as such. At least they're not. Well, do they have domestic giraffes in the future? That is a question and a half. But they got loose. They're invasive species. Um, um, uh, Rhinopotamus also. Those were not domestic, but they were created via gene splicing. Um, yes, the meat and is used as a flavor enhancer. They make meat donuts. It's a whole thing. Um, that planet was created by a friend who was just like wanted to go ham on. And I was just like, okay. Right here we have Rao. We have there's a lot of okay. Oh, the vegetation, right? We had the like this was the farming. Oh yeah. Did the vegetation of water. It also has the. I think someone else was mentioning that like the to be an angry world they have to have orbit farms. I think we were also collective world building. Abhumans. Oh wow, I forgot about that part. Devastating. That is not how you spell devastating. Okay. Beautiful. Abhumans. Civilians. Civilians. Okay. Mainly producing one particular city on the continent. Protecting one. Contingent. Pulled by an intended guard. Okay, yes. Compelled to ignore that order because they saw importance in moral that rescue operations held. Raised from a civilized world, and they were fully invested in the humanity the people were promoting and the way that the jaded soldiers didn't tend to be. Young Inquisitor was unsure what to do with large swaths of refugees. Okay, yes. Yes. So there was a whole thing that I'd forgotten about this. We created lore I forgot about. Finding a home. Yes. Um, everywhere outside of their own home planets. Induct them into the Imperial Guard, but there was a large number of children, elderly, and physically disabled people. Mutation made serving the Guard particularly difficult, as they constantly need to be extremely high humidity to survive. Right. Environment for their quarters, put them in odds with the crew of the Imperial naval ship. Malus biologist had just discovered the orbital platforms orbiting Rao, was having a tiff with the Ministratum about getting people to come populate them, and he owed the Inquisitor a favor since it stopped. Stop. Two piece and stopped his research vessel from landing in trouble. Okay, we definitely are counting. We're getting Magos biologist. Administratum is that one. Landing trouble after for theft and smuggling by claiming he was acting under orders and paying for damages. She contracted him and contacted him. Yep, and asked to take all the refugees aboard a ship for guise of research in new human and abhuman. He agreed, both in deference to their relationship and because he figured he could use them. He could use them. Yeah, let's put could. Okay, could use them as test subject for the orbital habitats that had been dormant for over 10,000 years. Okay, no comment with that. It was a bit rocky transition, but the refugees were ensconced in the station, cut off from any planet but Rao, due to the inability of any of the astropaths to make contact with the inhabitants due to the excessive growth of the fungus-like organism. The main water supply, other than what they stringently reclaim, comes from Adeptus Mechanicus' presence on the surface and a delicate balance between them and the stratum over maintaining the tanker flyers. They use to transport water to and from orbit. The massive desalination infrastructure, they insist on sending the water to the habitats, and the Stratum has allowed that much contact, but has spared any Vox communication. There are small platform ships that are just big enough to launch a flyer that serve as launching points for most of the smuggling efforts. Ooh, yeah, there's smuggling efforts too. Fun stuff. On the surface, the largest island is Thorin's Pride Central. Oh, right. No, that is not the central. 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 Ha! I got it. Administratum headquarters is well one of the few shuttle landing ports on the planet, as most tanker shells have. The move to Sunlight Water don't actually land. I should be keeping better track of time. With more than 10,000 people, the shuttle landing port is not an island on the island itself, but a large rockcrete structure. Rockcrete is which are connected by bridges made of rockcrete, but it's been carved like fleur de lis. Fleur de lis. Okay, I spelled fleur de lis wrong. Of course, yeah, fleur de lis. It was replaced an older one, which is metal, and was destroyed in a shuttle crash 120 years ago. The climate is fairly warm, with ice only forming at the poles. 17 algae farms. Terra. The A's are the ones that have. Yes, so if the ones that have more than 300 people have astropaths on them. I remember because they went to the Neptune one. The players had to go to the Neptune one. I just had forgotten about all of the orbital rings that screwed with astropath communication and are for lab humans, and it was like a whole thing. I'd forgotten we had that lore. But no, the planets did have to go save one of these on Rao because there was a plague. There was some interesting things that happened on Rao with that. Yeah. Okay, let's hit save. I'm going to give myself, let's see. We're going to say that was 3 minutes, roughly, give or take a bit. And I'm going to give myself 45 points of light edits for that, and then we're going to actually keep better time track for the next time, okay? So that's 45 light edits. Then we add the 45 to that, and add the 45 to this one. 45 plus 56 is 90... Wait. 90... 101. So 401. Okay, let's... Yay, okay. So there's that. And... Oh, thingy's thinking. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, let's figure this out. Oh, that's dinos and, yes, sorry. I do talk a little bit fast. Sorry about that. I will try to slow down, if I can. But yeah, I usually start the streams at 1:30, and then usually it's 1:45 by 1 to 1:50. This one was started just past 2, so a little on the late side because I got distracted asking Sable about GOT lore, because that's a thing that happens. Yes. All right. Good to know. There is fun. There is Filking lore. All right. Yeah, I've done that before, believe me. At least the mic's working. Sometimes I have forgotten to check the mic and it is not working because this mic is a wonderful sound quality mic and I appreciate my brother gifting it to me, but sometimes it gets it throws like a hissy fit about the connection and refuses to work and you have to re-add it and it's a pain. Because that's how streaming works. There's always a technical, like, yes, that should not be doing that. It is a technology that requires a lot of, shenanigans. Okay, so wait. We did that. Hang on. We are going to... Yeah. He's a very nice brother. Let's see. What is I going to do? Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Right. We have so much lore about so many random planets because this is what we do. So we're going to start another one. Oh, there's a planet Sarapada, too. A maiden world which was conquered by the... Okay, you know what? It's 218. We're going to start fixing this. Conquered by the Imperium, who then continued their tradition of breeding and raising so-called dragons, which were closer to dinosaurs from ancient Terra. There are still ruins of Eldar cities that the Imperium destroyed, and certain enterprising individuals are known to raid them for tech, despite the fact that it is highly, highly illegal. Local Administratum is bare bones, just a small satellite office to a subsector-wide office, and the planetary government is willing to look the other way, in part because they don't have the numbers to enforce any ban, but it technically is but keep it technically illegal to avoid getting in trouble with the Administratum. The planet has one large continent, or two continents with a narrow strait between them, with only a rocky causeway serving to connect them landwise. Landwise, that's spelled right, depending on how you look at it. The causeway was probably built by Eldar before the Imperial forces conquered it, but since it was all made of rock and plausibly could have been natural, it shouldn't have considered a blessing from the Emperor. Don't think too hard about it. The southern half is much larger than the northern half, as the split is more than 1/3, but less than 1/2 between the equator and the pole. And the southern half of the continent, okay, extends farther down toward the pole than the northern half. So the split is like up. Oh wow, yeah, that would make them. So it's a north-south split. All right. Largest city on the planet, population-wise, is just to the south of the southern end of the causeway. It is not the capital, but is considered to be the center of culture. so much that the Imperial Administratum does have a branch office there. The main Administratum headquarters on the planet is our headquarters are in a coastal city. I guess that works. Just south of the equator on the eastern coast of the continent, and the capital that is the center of the planetary is called High Top because it's built on top of a massive butte overlooking the largest river on the planet. To the northwest, where the Administratum is centered, along the same river that empties out into the sea at the port. Okay, so the Administratum and the... That is interesting. So the Administratum and the thing are different. Okay, let's see. The third largest city, just slightly more populous than the center of the planetary government. Yes, the capital has the center of the planetary government. It's called High Top. The Administratum on the planet are a coastal city. Which is okay, yeah. Which okay, we're gonna mention that it is distinct, which is distinct from the capital that is the planetary, which is called High Top because which is called High Top. There's a comma there. Beautiful. Because it's built up a massive butte overlooking the largest river on the planet to the northwest of where the Nostromo is centered, along the same river that empties into the seaport. Right, so they're on the coast and then northwest. Yeah, so it's eastern coast and then north. Okay. The third largest city, just slightly more populous than the center of the planetary government, is the Gem of the North, which is located just beyond the northern end of the causeway. Alright, this gets shipped... I think they ship downriver... Oh, plesiosaurs. Tamed plesiosaurs. Okay. I don't know if that's... Okay, we're gonna have to look on how to spell plesiosaur. Okay, copy. We're gonna go look into that, and then we're gonna... Then we're gonna start, plesiosaur. Does it have an expl... Oh, yes. Yes. Right. Plesiosaur. Yes. Okay. We're gonna have to... this is how we spell plesiosaur. Okay. Show you, tamed plesiosaurs. Beautiful. Let's start with the lowercase p and add an s. Plesiosaurs that have been tamed. Yes, tamed plesiosaurs to ship up and down the coast. Yeah, alright, so, let's see, causeway. So, that's 4 minutes, so that's 5 minutes. Okay, so that's 5 minutes of editing. I guess we're doing editing for this one. Yeesh, okay, I guess that's what we're doing. So, bits. 5 times 15 is 75. More light edits, because we didn't really do anything. Okay. Light edits, and then I think we might have to shift over to heavy edits, where we try to figure out what the heck we're doing with this. And, okay, Sable is sending, so 75, that's 476. Yep, numbers are going up for the, so I'll probably make 16,000 before the end of the stream. Yes. Okay, so it is 2:23. All right. I gotta be cognizant of time because I have to go and get ready and do day job stuff and then put on another stream so that we can claim stuff written, especially because we have the thing. So I'm gonna put... What I usually do is I put the stream up here, and then I write when I'm at work and then count the words when I get home, assuming, because it's the Got Lobby stream, if it's still running when I get back from work, it counts as having been running while I wrote, and... yes, so there's that. Now, tamed. Ooh, okay, so now we need... You know what, we're doing more Planet Sauropoda lore. That is fun. Yes. Land. Okay, so we have that. Okay, yes. Okay, okay, Okay. Cool. All right. So let me. That's why we have the word counter. Okay. So, um, yes, tamed. There are land transports. You know, yeah, Bronchosauri land transports. You know what? That's it. Um, overland movements, overland shipments. Train or tamed Brontosaurus. Brontosaurus. Hey, I spelled that. Who go who or in many cases as the yeah, so it's both um as the goods are loaded, um train stations or ports and set on Brontosaurus back. Brontosaurus back. Um, to be moved along local routes. Um, moved along local routes with no train. There are roads for electric vehicles. Actually, so public um, that allow for wheeled vehicles. There are roads allowed that usually go alongside the routes where the Brontosaurus usually go. Okay, hang on. That's the routes where the Brontosaurus. But they and they are mainly for used by carts, pulled by tamed dinosaurs, smaller tamed dinosaurs. Now, okay, so you got the smaller ones that are pulling carts. You got the bigger ones. Um, Usually they're herbivores. They have the carnivorous raptors. Ooh, raptors are trained as um, uh, um, yeah. You have attack raptors that are trained by tamed dinosaurs. Um, they also are surrounded. So there's herbivore. Ooh. So there's probably not groks, but there's probably livestock that they use. Yeah, the planet is probably very green, right? And it's probably used. Oh, this is a whole thing now. I have to figure this out. Is it? Do they have for meat? Do they have um, like groks or some other um, dinosaur farm they raise for meat, or is it raised for? Is it cows? Do they have cows that then they feed to the? Well, they must have. You know, if they want dairy production, they probably have cows, right? So they probably are raising cattle for meat alongside the tamed dinosaurs for transport. That makes sense, actually, right? That you raise one animal for meat, and another for transport. Like horses don't. You don't usually raise horses for meat. You use horses for transport and cows for meat. That's how livestock. So if you had cattle brought in from um, whatever freaking planet that, yeah, because that's when the Imperials settled, they brought cattle. There you go. When the Imperials settled, they brought cattle. Before then, there was, and that's when they started to train the raptors, who before were predators. Yes. Okay. So when humans settled the area, so the ancient Eldar. Okay. Hang on. They brought cattle. They brought cattle to the planet, and then they started training. So there's the difference between the domesticated raptors and that are trained as guard dogs essentially, and the domesticated raptors, the smaller and snippier, and then the wild predator dinosaurs, which are just considered pests. Okay, and then the largest of them usually, well, okay, so some of the bigger ones are tamed, like T-Rex, for war use, but there's a lot of, um, then the same thing. It's like you have the tame ones, you have the wilds, you have tamed, and then you have the domesticated years of breeding into less, forms ones. That's the same, yeah, if they have dinosaurs of all kinds, which I presume that, Earth, yeah, okay, this is good. So, they have the plesiosaurs, they have the tamed plesiosaurs, they have the brontosaurus, which may or may not be domesticated rather than tamed. Depends. They're probably in the domestication phase where it's mostly tamed, but they're breeding them like there's not enough. They don't have selective breeding as such, but they have tamed in captivity, and then the birth process. Yeah, it's probably like that where you haven't really had enough generations to be like fully domesticated, but like okay. Used by smaller tame dinosaurs. Are mainly used by cards pulled by smaller tamed dinosaurs. Um, domestic dinosaurs. Yes, the brontosaurs. I don't know if the brontosaurs are tamed or domestic. We're gonna leave that up in the air, but they're definitely domestic dinosaurs to pull cards. There are also um, there probably are very few mammals. Was conquered by the Imperium, who continued the tradition of breeding and raising so-called dragons, which okay, right. So they were conquered by the Imperium after the Eldar didn't have mammals. They were the only mammals on the planet. Presumably, Eldar are mammals. So the Imperial settlers, after they brought cows, yeah, they brought cows and probably chickens. Well, that is an interesting question. Did they bring chickens, or had the um, Eldar basically domesticated the dinos into chickens? Because the chickens are the closest living relatives to dinosaurs. It's not impossible that they domesticated the dinos down into chickens. That is a possibility. Or something that's not like a chicken exactly, but is closer to dinosaur or closer to chicken in terms of how they're, raised for pets and meat and eggs and, have regularly lay non-fertile eggs. Yeah, that regularly lay non-fertile eggs and therefore are kept as companion egg layers, meat. All the reasons people keep chickens, which is a laundry list, and yeah, are kept for all the reasons people keep chickens, but are closer to dinosaurs than Earth chickens. Or yeah, I bet the Eldar did that, and the humans just kind of they're like, oh, these are just chickens, but dinosaurier chickens. Then because modern chickens are pretty dinosaury. But anyway, dinosaurier chickens. Um, yes. Okay. So, um, um, feral. Oh yes, that's the whole thing. Okay. Potter originally Maiden World, Ministradum. Okay. Yes. So, they also have domesticated raptors along with wild cousins. Okay, now what do you call hmm. Now we're Poyosaur? Yeah, you know what? We're gonna considered pests. Um with wild cousins, right? Okay, you're gonna have an ad break. Wild cousins were considered pests. Um who humans have livestock guardians, along with wild cousins, who are considered pests, and pests with an S. Then they have. All right, we'll do more geographics after things. Okay, yes, the plesiosaurs that have been tamed. Overland shipments are either carried by train or carried by tamed brontosaurus. Or yes, okay. So plesiosaurs they have tamed plesiosaurs, and they have brontosaurus for land transport, and then they have the smaller ones that pull carts for human transport, and they have trains. And okay, the tracks were built. Okay, the trains were built by humans. Yeah, so the trains were built by humans, and the cows were brought by humans. They have also. They also have. All right. Also have. Let's see. Yeesh. So let's see. Ad starting soon. It's gonna do the thing where it does. The thing. Poop. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. We're creating lore for, freaking Planet Sauropoda and what kind of domestic dinosaurs do they have, which, you know what, is kind of cool. And the Eldar probably domesticated them, and then the humans came with the cattle and were just like, humans came and conquered it. Then, ooh, did they set up a guard base? I wonder, the Innistratum is barely there. I bet there was soldiers. They gave it to the soldiers who conquered it, right? Okay, we have time. We have time to figure this out. In the meantime, I'm gonna get maybe more liquid. Tasty treat. Stretch. You do the same. Addie says, go and have break. Mm. Alright. Two. No one else says. Addie, that's the girl right there. Okay, I think we're back. And Addie says that if you have meds that you were supposed to be taking, that you should now is a good time to remember, did I take my meds? The answer for me was no, but now it's yes, because I took mine. So if you have meds that you need to take, I encourage you to say, do I take my meds today? And if you didn't, remember to. Friendly from the... Oh, I also didn't do that, but it's okay. Yeah, it's a friendly take your meds reminder. Yeah. Okay. So now back to the dinosaurs. I still have high chews because snacky treats. Okay. Um. 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 um so um. Hmm. Um. I make eggs. Regularly. Fertilized eggs. Um. They are roughly the size of human children. Yeah, roughly the size of human roughly the size of 12-year-old humans. Yep, roughly the size of 12-year-old humans. That's a. Mm, that is a whole thing. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to. All right. Um. Um. Mhm. Okay. Um. Eldorn. Um. 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 um main things. Brought. Post conquering. Um. The only one of the few life forms that wasn't part and parcel with them was cows. All right. Post conquering. I cast spell conquering with my life. Um. Or trains and cows. Mm, um. 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 Oh, hydrate. Okay. So, cheers. You call it Fang. If you have liquid, you should probably take a sip of it. Right your throat. Yeah. Um. Yep. Half an hour or so. Okay. All right. Yep. I will put that as a note. Yeah, that'll be right when I end the stream. I end the stream probably half an hour. So yeah, there we go. Um, I'll tell you again when I end the stream. Another reminder. Okay. Yes, I think that's the one you meant. Okay, so a mad reminder. Yes. Um, okay, I will keep that in my brain and hopefully remember. Yes. Trains that they built. They built a network of trains. Yes. Uh, that started between the largest the and the okay the um planetary capital and the city that the administratum took to um, administratum took the administratum was housed in, and then added a third branch. The third branch um, we need to start naming all these cities so that I'm not just okay, hang on. Administratum head. Okay, Administratum should be capitalized. The main Administratum headquarters. Coastal city just south of the equator. They probably have one at the capital too. Okay, coastal city just on the eastern coast of the continent. Yes, eastern coast of the continent, just south of the equator, then northwest. All right, yes, high top. To the northwest of where the so northwest. Um, are located in um. What's a good name? We need a name. We need a name. Name time. Name time. What's a good name? Um. Um. Emperor's Grace. Yeah, Emperor's Grace. That's what they call the city. The city of Emperor's Grace. Because you know what? If all of the Catholic missions out in frickin' California named all of their cities after saints, then I think the the Imperials would do a very similar thing. Yeah. Let's see. Emperor's Grace. That's what the Administratum city is called. Emperor's Grace. Coastal city. Yes. So we're gonna put 2 plus 2 down here. Nope. That's no use for it though. That's dip. Gatling guns. Okay. Yes. Um. 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 Of high top. And the city of Emperor's Grace. Grace. The Administratum was housed in. The third branch was okay. So the largest city on the population wise, it's just south of the southern end of the causeway. Well, if the causeway is yes. Oh yeah, the causeway. Okay, yeah, the southern point of the causeway. Called Summer's End. Yeah, called Summer's End. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, if the southern half goes, then farther north. Math is hard. Yeah, called it Summer's End. It's called Summer's End. Yep, the city is called Summer's End because it was going farther and farther from the equator. So Summer's End, yeah, because it was kind of far enough from the equator that you really started getting actual winters. If it's it's less than halfway, but more than a third of the way, that's kind of in the area where you start like losing the really mild winters and start getting actual like winters, depending on exact currents and whatever. But yeah, that probably was in the northern continent, probably because it's farther north than the equator. All of it is north of the equator, and all of it is more than a third of the way. I think quarter of the way is where tropics are. The quarter of the way up the equator, so a third and slightly more. So yeah, Summer's End makes sense as a name. Summer's End. Let's go where we're going. One on continent. The largest city on is Summer's End, which is Summer's End, which is just to the southern end of the causeway. It is not the capital. Okay, that's 4 more, so that's plus 6 when we do our word count. The third branch was added to Summer's End. And more branches. Spiraled off from there. Okay, spiraled off. Okay, so spiraled off from there. Yes, there are 14. Yeah. Let's see. Nearly over a dozen major cities and dozen cities spokes and okay, yeah. Domestic dinosaurs. Okay, domesticated areas. Let's see. Largest river on the planet. Okay, so the third largest city, just slightly more populous than interplanetary government. Um, um, and more populous. than Empire's Grace. Is the That's another 6, which makes 12. We are accruing. This is a sort of janky way to count words when you're supposed to be when the theory is that you're gonna put them in the word counter later. But if we're putting the main bulk of what we were writing into the word counter, and then anything we add to the upper part, we are counting the words manually and adding them at the bottom so that we have that. I mean, I guess you could count it as heavy edits, but you know, it's we're doing it this way. Populous name first grace Gem of the North. Plesiosaurus. Okay, yes. High top, butte overlooking the largest river of the planet, which northwest where the Administratum. I think it's, okay, yes. High top, which is called High Top. Okay. Gem of the North. What's the Gem of the North? What's a good name for the what's the one? What's a good name? I need a name. I need a name for the city. Um, Ooh. All right. So I'm taking the American town naming policy and saying it is named after an empire city. New Constantinople. It's called New Constantinople. Let's do it. But yeah, that's the theory of American towns is that there are certain cadres of names. One is natural phenomenon, things like Three River Falls or Cedar Rapids or stuff like that. Then you got natural phenomena and actual place, noun sentence, actual words turned into names. Yeah, mine too. That's why we're trying to fix it now. So you got that. But in the United States, you have those ones. You have stolen from Europe, with or without a new attached. New Orleans, Toledo, Bristol, Boston, New York. Yeah, stolen from Europe and or other European countries, with or without a new. And then you got the old indigenous names. I'm not actually working within the real world as such. 40K is more hypothetically 1,000 years in. No, not 1,000. Hypothetically 30,000 years into the future, ish. Give it 38,000 years into the future. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's 40K, the year 40,000, 41st millennium. So 38,000 years into the future from now, hypothetically. But also contains the warp, which is may or may not exist in our timeline. Probably doesn't. Hopefully doesn't. I do not want warp stuff happening. Yeah. So it said, okay, but what if our timeline happened? But also there was ancient aliens, and also then in the far future it did stuff. That's kind of what Warhammer 40K is. So you can say, oh, well, New Constantinople, or oh, the Mona Lisa, because it exists. It's canonically hanging in the Palace of Terra, because it existed in that timeline, so it exists. But yeah, we're gonna call it New Constantinople. I was riffing off of, oh, this is the kind of things that you find in U.S. town names. And then you have all the saints ones that were named after by the Spanish. There was saint this, saint that, a lot of those. A few other Palestine, like places named after biblical places, which is the kind of ripped off of other countries with or without the new. There are Palestine and New Palestine. Yeah, and then there's state name city, which there are 4 that I know of in the U.S. New York City, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, and Missouri City. 2 of those are in the states they're named after. 2 of them aren't, and that's only the ones that I know of. The U.S. has. I personally work with U.S. town names professionally, so I know a lot of them just by virtue of having them for work. And that gives me kind of a little bit of perspective on town names because I professionally stare at town names all day, every day. Not all day, every day, but for several hours every day because I get paid to do so. Okay, what was I saying? The town names. Sorry, New Constantinople. Where are we going? New Constantinople, Jewel of the North, is New Constantinople, and New Constantinople. New Constantinople, not Istanbul, not Constantinople. If you got, sorry, that is a fun. Plus another 2. That's plus 14 so far. So we got at least 14 words. Spiraled off from there. The third branch was added to Summer's End, and um, the branches spiraled off from there. First New Constantinople, then to New Constantinople. Yeah, New Constantinople, and then further out to the northern continent. Wait, hang on. New Constantinople is the gem of the north, right? Hang on. Just beyond the northern, so Summer's End to New Constantinople was probably, oh, and then from there as a hub, right? So if Summer's End to New Constantinople, across, wait, so it was across the causeway. So there was those 3, then across the causeway to New Constantinople, and then outward from there, and then outward on the southern continent too. Yeah, the rail lines. There's probably one that runs parallel to the causeway, that or uses the causeway as like a bridge. Yeah, because it's a natural formation, so they probably used it to run the tracks. Right. So across the causeway, it's yes. So yeah, they probably run the tracks along the causeway, and then that the Summer's End to New Constantinople probably runs along. Okay, here we go. We are getting into down and dirty. Of this is what happens. Is a stream will be like, oh, I have that planet. Hang on, let's focus in on this city and the theaters and the things and the. We'll come up with some spiraling bit of lore that is very niche and does not necessarily need to exist. But like, I love world building, so we'll do random lore bits for like, oh, this part has this one and this is this one, and just so many random lore snippets for planets that may or may not ever be used for anything, or just like random niche little lore building things. Like, oh yeah, they ran the tracks along causeway from Summer's End to New Constantinople, and then out from New Constantinople. Okay, yeah, that's what we're doing for this particular. First across the causeway to. First across the causeway to New Constantinople. Constantinople. Istanbul. Yeah, I'm. Okay. Because Constantinople is spelled the same as Constantinople here, so to New Constantinople. Across the causeway. I always want to spell across with 2 C's, and it does not. That's not how you spell across, but that is how I want to spell across. The causeway. Right. Causeway. C-A... Hang on. C-A-U-S-E. C-A... Causeway. To New Constantinople. Merged across. Okay, yep, that is. Check this out. Spiraling north. Spreading north. Okay. To other cities. Northern continent. And the northern. Oh. Continent. Continent. Hopefully I spelled that. That's the right continent. Nope, that's another. That's the right one. How to spell. Continent. Let me. Continent. Yes. Northern continent. Yeah, names are hard. Names are hard. Yeah. Working with 40k means you can randomly name things after Earth things, but you got to be careful and not use that too much. I think I named one of the cities Rabat because it was like, well, it's after a town in Morocco. Like I did name Air here was. I named a couple of there was heavy Middle Eastern influence, so I named like the town in Rabat. I think one of the towns there. But you can sometimes do that, and then sometimes you really just have to come up with unique names. And because 40,000 years is a lot of linguistic drift, so there's different ones, and it's just yeah. The Imperium has only existed for 10,000 years, in fact. And before that, there was the Dark Age of Technology, and before that, there was the Age of Apostasy, which is like between when the Dark Age of Technology. Hi, boop. Hello. Name generators are helpful. I have used those in the past to name continents on worlds, planets. It is a helpful thing. Sometimes I'll use them. Oftentimes I'll just kind of string stuff together that sounds good, or come up with things like, you know, what would they logically name this place? Because it's, if you're working within a framework of, well, they speak, you know, like there are a lot of place names that are like Cedar Rapids, which are just like waterfalls near trees, like cedar trees, like, you know, or um, um, Three River Falls, or there are a lot of place names that are just, or like Santa Fe. I don't know what Santa Fe, but San Diego or San Francisco, which is Saint Francis and Saint John. Like these are saints that people named the towns after saints, and so there's a linguistic tradition of that. And a random name generator will never give you that kind of history of a town, and it depends on how deep you want to go with the world building rabbit hole, which is a thing for that, for sure. And there are different methodologies behind it, but yeah, it's kind of fun sometimes to do that, and sometimes it's just like, F it, we're just going to string some syllables together until they sound good, or use a name generator. Either way. I suppose there probably are name generators that do it like that too, but, blech. Anyway, hi, welcome on in. Um, uh, we have Torlin, which is friend, who is friend, I should say, and is welcome here in our little gutter of tongues. Okay, so, other cities on the northern continent. Okay, so we have that, then, so we have those and those and those. The cows. We had the trains and the cows. Those were the two things that humans brought to this planet. Or trains and cows, and infrastructure. But they built a lot of the cities from the ground up on the ruined. Ooh, that's a thought, actually. Blah 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 blah. Oh, I was gonna get the freaking ice pack during the last break, and I didn't. We'll. How long until we have the next ad break? Because I could just pop off and do that now. Oh, they're gonna have an ad break in 3 minutes. Okay, then we'll go get the what's it now? We'll get the what's it then. Okay, so for now, let's see. Conquest the cows. Okay, now we have cows are our next. Gem of the North, end of the causeway. Okay, two main things. They built the networks of northern continent. All right, that's for the trains for now. There's probably more information on train lines we could. Um, oh yeah, freaking I think maybe it might be a bot. I mean, it may or may not be a paid shill, just a real life human trying to, who gets randomly generated usernames to try and like convince. I'm always, you know, maybe it's a real life shill, maybe it's a bot, you know. And if they're not, I usually let them stay if they're not, you know, throwing out racial slurs or whatever, or creating malicious info, just because. I usually just kind of like, I don't know. You can say and watch. I'm not gonna. Um, I have a true. It is. Well, I'm not buying viewers, so they're the ones violating term of service. So I wash my hands of it. If they're trying to tempt me into sin, then I am not going to go willingly. I like having actual people watch because it's fun. But I always figure, you know, if they are paid children, even if they're bots, if they want to hang out and watch, I'm not gonna, you know, if as long as they're not being like disruptive, particularly disruptive in the chat. Like I have a list of, you know, it is, you know, no racial slurs, no being homophobic, no being an asshole, and they're kind of like within the bounds of that, and I'm just kind of like, all right, I don't know. I know people who like beep it immediately. I mean, people like, I don't know. I think maybe it's a good idea. There's people who have, I don't know. I've usually that aside. Other cities to northern continent. Sorry, I am getting very distracted. I even have, because I have a couple bots who I invited in. Um, yes, I know. Believe me, I don't go on any of them. I do not go. I do not go to any of them, and I would highly recommend that you do not go any of those links either. Um, yes, do not go onto the links. If they say they go into this website, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a trap. Yes. The other thing, the first who moved on planet after brought cows with them. Brought cattle with them, various that had ancestry. To ancient Terra. Ancient Terra. Though had spread. Okay, we need to name another agri-world. The agri-world. We need to name another one. Maybe we could use a name generator for this one. Yep. Oh, hi, Quill. Welcome on in. Yeah, I have that one because I do get easily distracted by any number of things, including my chat and me. And okay, ad break time. Let me get the cooling for this. Enjoy, Addy, if you're subscribed, or we're using an ad block or turbo. And if not, I'll be back in a minute. Okay. I have the computer propped up, but there's airflow underneath it, and you put in that airflow space ice pack, so that cloth, and on top of the cloth, protect the desk, and it's not directly touching the computer, but it's very cold and in the vicinity, so it helps dissipate heat in the Okay. I have hydration liquids. More liquid I have. Okay, I am back. Let me just pop this down. Hello, hello. Say about 10 more minutes of stream, and then we'll probably raid. Give or take a bit. Maybe a little less, but, you know, a few more minutes. Let's see. Um, 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 okay. Yes, Agri-World of... What's a good name? We need another name. Oh, boom. Thank you. Let's see. We need another name. Does anyone in the chat want to name a planet? We can then, uh, yes. Yes. But yes, we have, yeah, that's the Bajiggy, what's it? Okay, so, Sable is putting more lore down on the God Discord. I'm like, lore stuff. Yeah, that's fair. I always offer, and if anyone in chat has good ideas for planet names, I can put one here, and I can put one on my list of planet names. I will show you briefly. So there's this one. There's these ones. These are all my planets that have names. And at the bottom here, we have. I'm running out. Random extra. These two are these three left. I have three left. That I usually I'm like, okay, we're going to use one of these if I have an idea for a planet, and I suppose I could just steal one from the name list of names. I generally either come up with one on the spot, ask my panel of chat people who happen to be in there, hey, what's a good name for a planet, or pick one from the list. Sometimes Zarpada was suggested by Daz on stream, and I just ran with it. So was Beantopia. A bunch of them were. Some of them were stuff I came up with. But yeah, we kept a list of planet names, and if any time you are on stream, even if mine's completely different, and you have a good idea, tell me so I can put it on the list because we're running out of planet names. Yeah, Balboa was named because it was full of rocks, and I was just like, it's a rocky planet, and Zig was like Balboa. I'm like, yeah, all right, well, we'll go with it. Beezus was named for bees, a friend, and yeah, but the planet names are a bunch of them randomly that we picked and were suggested on stream and chat for various times. Okay? So I kind of was thinking we could just borrow one. Yep. Uh, Egedia. All right, we're using one from the list. We're using the top one on the list. We need more. Let's do it. The planet is an agri world. Specializes in cattle, though they also raise grass, grox, and has been a center for animal husbandry for millennia, for 4,000 years. 4,000 years. Yep. Central for animal husbandry. 4,000. 10,000. I mean, no. The Imperium only exists for 10,000. So yeah. We can have all the fun. Okay, yes. So there's that. AE. Okay, we're taking this way now. That was if we had to roll for it. Now we're just gonna go evens, and this one is yep. Because next time we roll, we're doing evens odds, unless someone comes up with another Jedia. Yep. Cattle feed. Oh, Pubrad. Okay, Agri World, fairly far from. Okay, yes. Okay. Stem from the Public Radical, which the original said, Gimlin personally took the planet for the Emperor before the Horus Heresy and had cracked down on superstitions because that was against the imperial truth. A lot of them still persisted, though, and found new forms later as methods of emperor worship. Ecclesiarchy has been no sway here, but one of their best head witches convinced the Inquisitor that sent after them the people's deep trust in the Emperor with the way he shaped their lives. The Inquisition issued a writ certifying them as sufficiently comply with the imperial creed. Tarot was introduced, quite popular, communing with the Emperor, retirement home for sanctions. Actually, you know what? You know what? We're gonna take, um, um, we could have, dang it. Now I got a choice. We could either, you know what? We're gonna leave it to fate. I'm gonna roll the d12. I don't roll these nearly enough. So, even, we're going with, Agedia, or, odds, we're gonna go with Pubrad, and then we'll keep Agedia for later. Maybe we can even keep it as a odds. Pubrad. Okay. we're gonna keep planet Sarpada, Tigra, Beantopia. Oh yes, Pubrad. Okay, Pubrad. We'll go back to Ajadia later. Agri World. Maybe it does specialize. I mean, they could also be another Pubrad. Closer to be where the first settlers were Imperial Guardsmen. Had helped with the okay. Yes, Imperial good. Okay, so now we just okay. Now we're going to go here. I'm gonna go take all of this. Yeah, because I kind of have to copy. We copy it into the word counter. And then 288, and then we plus, then we add, you know, we're gonna, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yes, Beantopia. We're gonna add, because, we're gonna add this. We might change it later, but, Ajadia is officially an agri world. Various meat animals. That's what we're gonna do. For 4,000 years. Yep, we're gonna do this. They did not provide. Pubrad was the one they had the cattle from, but that is, they still, you know, that's our new one. Next time we do that, we're gonna have to figure out, at least, yep, like world, yep, 311 words. So 311 plus, where am I going? Oh, yes, 311 plus, we had, hang on, plus how many? Plus how many? Let's go back up to here. How many do we have? 311 plus, Balboa, El Placia. No, we had, this is the tricky thing with this, is you run them, and you're like, okay, hang on, planet side of Potta. So plus 14, so that's 325. Plus 14, there you go, 325. So that's 325. Now, for all my friends who are also writing, 325. Go here. Let me just do that. This is, oh, that's why I had this is so small. We had to 325. 325 words. Okay, now, if anyone is writing, anyone else, let's go. Bring out your words, bring out your words, bring out your words. Unless, I mean, if you're already in another stream, now is the time to do it. Now is your chance. Yes, now is your chance. Bring out your words. If you have any words at all, bring them out. I'm going to put 325 more in. Let's go. 476 plus, okay. Plus 325. 801. Okay, cool. Not quite 16,000 yet, but that's okay. Anyone who has words, now is your chance. Also, a phased request, if you have any meds that you need to take, now would be, you know, now is a good chance. Think about it. Do I have any meds that I didn't take this morning? I had some that I took that I had to take during stream because I forgot to take them this morning. Bloof. Yes, I do what I can. Okay, everyone. What I was gonna say, med check, everyone. Okay, take care of yourselves. Water, meds, you know, food. Take care of yourselves. General reminder, you know, you deserve to be all that jazz. Ah, that's okay. You know what? Eating is good for you. Food is good for you. I'm of the radical sort that believes that food is delicious and should be eaten regularly. Okay, food. You know, yeah, take care of yourselves. That's my usual outro. Is that just take care of yourselves, everyone. The world's a harsh place, and you deserve better. So, take care of yourselves. We are going to raid into somebody. Who are we going to raid into, you might ask? Well, let's see. That would be who is on live. We're going to roll into GOT. No. We're going to raid into someone GOT people, because that's how we do. We always raid to GOT during the, no. We always raid to GOT during the, during, what was I going to say? When any of them, Striker, I believe, is a GOT. Just Tiger Rights. Okay, we're raiding into Tiger Rights, a fun writer who does fun stuff, and he'll probably raid into oh no, Sable's starting too. Why don't we raid Sable? We're raiding Sable. I always raid Sable. You can raid Tiger Rights at some point, but right now we're raiding Sable. So everyone, all aboard the raid train. We are going to see Sable. Go say hi. I have, if you're following the stream, there's an orange emoji you get. It says raid in very small letters. It's just hard to read. You can use those when you pop in, or whatever the raid emojis, or just hearts, or whatever you want. But that's a general theory. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourselves, all that jazz. And I will see you next week. And I can tell you all about the cool con I'm going to this weekend. So, you know. Boop. All right. Off we trot. Let's go.